Wow. Good morning and welcome to the April 18, 2019 business meeting. And I'd ask our county administrator, Gary Schmidt, to please take the roll.
Yes, Commissioners, your staff support today is County Counsel Stephen Madcore, Clerk to the Board Kevin Moss. Roll call, Commissioner Fisher.
Here.
Commissioner Savas.
Here.
Commissioner Schrader.
Here.
Chair Bernard.
Here.
And
And I also,
go ahead.
go ahead. I would also like to announce that Commissioner Humbertston is celebrating his 50th anniversary. So I think that's a good excuse to not be here. It was either a cruise ship or some other ways to celebrate. So he is out of town. So
Wedding anniversary.
what did I say?
His anniversary.
Oh, well, wedding anniversary.
Yeah, that's not his anniversary working for the county.
Right.
Yeah,
Or his birthday.
even though we've had some county employees that worked here practically 50 years. With that, please join me in a pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, first up, Mr. Administrator, what's up first?
Yes, first a presentation proclaiming April 14 to 20, 2019 is National Public Safety Telecommunications Week in Clackamas County. To present is the Director of our CCOM Department, Cheryl Bledsoe.
Thank you for coming today.
Good morning, Commissioners. With me is my Operations Manager, Tony Collins, and we are very honored and humbled to be here today to celebrate National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week. The word telecommunicator encompasses a number of different things, from 911 call takers who answer the phone from the general public on the worst day of their lives, to dispatchers who provide life-saving and important information to our public safety responders of both law enforcement, fire, and our emergency medical services. Clackamas County Communications actually serves 6 different law enforcement agencies, including the Clackamas County Sheriff's Office and 5 city law enforcement agencies. We serve 8 different fire districts here in Clackamas County, and we actually also provide dispatch service to 7 other county departments, including Community Corrections, Code Enforcement, the Medical Examiner's Office, the Waymaster, the District Attorney's Office, and Dog Services, and the Juvenile Department. So dispatchers work every day, and call takers work every day to answer those phones for people who are calling about both emergency events and non-emergency events. Each year, we answer over 280,000 calls. In fact, our specific statistics this last year were about 140,000 emergency 911 calls, and similarly 140,000 non-emergency calls for the residents and the folks who are inside the boundaries of Clackamas County. There are a variety of ways to make a call these days, which include not only voice communications, but also text-based communications. And when I ask my call takers and dispatchers to come to work every day, I use every part of their body. I use their eyes to look at the computer-aided dispatch. I use one ear to listen to the phone. I use another ear to listen to the radio. I ask them to use their feet to tap the radio and open up communication with our first responders. It is a high level of multitasking job, and it's a job that doesn't afford them breaks when they take terrible and difficult calls. Right now, our dispatchers work on average about 52 hours a week. They are working not just 10 hours a day, but they're also mandatory for up to 2 hours of overtime, and sometimes those shifts are long and lengthy and require them to come back even after days where they have suffered personal tragedy in their own lives. So I could not be more proud of the work that they do. In addition, CCOM has experienced chronic understaffing for many years here in the county, and right now I'm very proud to say that we are as close to full staffing as we have ever been, but that requires 14 of our staff right now are in training and working with coaches who are also serving as call takers and dispatchers every day. So we appreciate you honoring them today. I have a number of them sitting in the audience behind me. I have Noelle in the first row. I have Noelle, Fawn, Maya, and Nicole. And in the third row, I have Victor, Craig, and Fred, both a mix of dispatchers, coaches, and call takers and trainees that are sitting behind us today. So I'm very proud of the work that they do. I'm proud of the work that is behind the scenes. They are the voice behind every emergency and non-emergency call, and I really appreciate the service and the commitment, the courage, the bravery, the emotional resilience, and the dedication they have to the residents of Clackamas County and our public safety providers. officers. So with that today, we ask you to sign a proclamation that proclaims April 14th to 20th as National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Clackamas County. Whereas emergencies can occur at any time that require police, fire, or emergency medical services within Clackamas County. And whereas an emergency occurs, requires the prompt response of police officers, firefighters, and paramedics is critical to the protection of life and the preservation of property. And whereas the safety of our police officers and firefighters is dependent upon the quality and accuracy of information obtained from residents who call Clackamas County 911. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the first and most critical contact our residents have with emergency services. And whereas public safety telecommunicators are the single vital link of our police officers and firefighters by monitoring their activities via radio, providing them with information, and ensuring their safety. And whereas public safety telecommunicators of Clackamas County have contributed substantially to the apprehension of criminals, suppression of fires, and treatment of patients. And whereas each employee has exhibited compassion, understanding, and professionalism during the performance of their job in the past year, it is therefore now proclaimed that the Clackamas County Board of Commissioners declares April 14th to 20th, 2019 to be National Public Safety Telecommunicator Week in Clackamas County in honor of the employees whose diligence and professionalism keep our county and residents safe. We encourage all residents to join us in celebrating the commitment and courage that 911 call takers and dispatchers exhibit daily in service to the residents of Clackamas County. Thank you.
Be an honor to sign it.
Thank you.
Paul?
Yeah, well, since I've been a commissioner for 8 years, I've really learned and realized how difficult and challenging not only what CCOM has to deal with, but also as you laid out, Cheryl, the recruitment and so forth. But, I want to just speak to the type of person it takes to do the job on a daily basis. And I've learned that not all of us as people can do this kind of work. And it takes really exceptional people and exceptional skill sets, and I think something internally to be able to do the job day in and day out. So I just want to share that I recognize that and thank everyone for doing what they're doing, and also all the new people that are being recruited. And just want to thank you for all your good work and knowing how difficult it is to be in that kind of environment.
Thank you.
And I'd like to say that Ken and I met with you, and first thing, I'd never learned so much about the work they do. You like to talk and you like to tell, about the good work your people do, and I was in tears to think that some of your folks, the phone calls they have to take, and I just can't imagine. The time down is probably never enough to and I'm really happy. I think that in 2003 or 4, I ran for the commission, and many doors I knocked on mentioned staffing it at 911 services as being a problem. And it's nice to hear that you're close, but 14 people in training, that's got to be a huge effort on the part of people who are training them, sitting right there. And so to thank you for helping grow the organization and at some point making their job a little bit easier because they have adequate staffing. So thank you very much, and thank you very much. And Sonia.
Yeah, your comments, Mr. Chair, led me to recall we've had some very difficult incidents this last year. And one thing that I so appreciate is really the recognition of a culture that acknowledges how difficult the situations are, and to honor each and every person and wherever they are in the process of processing that, and just the leadership that we have in caring about people first through this very, very difficult work. I just think that's wonderful. So I applaud you.
All right, so Martha, anything you want to add?
I just want to thank you for everything that you do. It is very difficult work, and you really are the folks on the line with our first responders when any incident happens, and you're always on call, And I don't think, you're kind of the hidden hand in many ways that people don't know with you folks as much. And that's why I'm glad we're talking about this, that it's 24/7 all the time. It takes very specific training. It's a long time to get trained. And it really is a unique skill set to have folks do what you do. So thank you for everything you've done. I really appreciate it.
So we are going to take a photo, so hopefully your folks will come up and you, and we can take a photo. I guess I don't remember signing this, but it looks like my signature.
Good, how are you? Everybody squish in.
Please get in front of, well, you're in back.
Let's balance this out a little bit.
So two Noels, right? Oh, just.
Okay, everybody to me. 3, 2, 1. 3, 2, 1. One more. All right, thanks, everybody.
All right, now we have another presentation on what?
Yes, second presentation is National County Government Month, which is right now, April. The theme is Connecting the Unconnected. Scott Anderson from Public and Government Affairs will make a presentation, and there's a short video as well.
Good morning, Commissioners. As Gary mentioned, I'm Scott Anderson from Public and Government Affairs. So National County Government Month is held each April. Since 1991, the National Association of Counties has encouraged counties to promote the services and programs they offer. This year's theme is Connecting the Unconnected. All month, Public and Government Affairs has been relaying via social media some of the ways the county is connecting the unconnected and breaking poverty cycles. Some of the highlights that we have either shared or will share include topics such as our health centers, which have served 17,237 individuals last year. All are served regardless of their ability to pay. More than $3.9 million in energy assistance was distributed to more than 5,000 households last year, benefiting more than 12,000 county residents. The Veteran Service Office worked intensively with 1,776 veterans and filed 729 initial claims. Staff assisted denied claimants with 85 appeals and reopened requests and helped 63 veterans apply for VA health care. In total, staff efforts generated new monetary benefits of more than $11 million. The Volunteer Connection Program assists seniors, people with disabilities, and residents lacking resources and in need. Last year, transportation reaching people drivers logged more than 284,000 miles and provided more than 11,500 medical-related trips. And the Senior Companions Program gave more than 22,000 hours of service while supporting more than 100 people. The Small Grants Program assists local organizations whose purpose is to help the most vulnerable residents. Specifically, this annual program, which distributes $300,000 annually, helps people meet basic needs. Thanks to our video team here at the county, we've highlighted a lot of the services we offer to connect the unconnected that I've talked about here today already, most of which you've already seen. However, we're going to show you a video now where we tell the story of Stacy, a local resident we helped get connected to housing, a vital service we provide. And it's safe to say her life, along with the lives of her children, has been changed and improved dramatically.
The combat veteran that I was with has anger issues and can become violent when he's angry. We were moving constantly because irresponsibility was going on with money and other things that were happening that was causing a lot of drama in life, and his difficulties and hardships were getting in the way of being able to be functional as a couple, as a family, as a household. I didn't have a job because I'm disabled. Financially, I was completely dependent upon him, and so were the kids. At that point, I knew I wanted to separate from him. I needed to get my kids back on stable ground. I needed to get stable again. I had put a call in to 211. I was told to put my name on the list for housing. I could not find anywhere that was willing to accept me. Basically, after the 90 days of not being able to find a place while I had the Section 8 voucher, it would expire. After trying 2 other times unsuccessfully to separate myself and my children from my husband, I was not holding my breath. I got a call out of the blue from a lady named Cindy Garcia. And the program that I put my name on was called Rapid Rehousing. I didn't have money for a deposit. I couldn't even put gas in my car. And Cindy told me, she's like, oh, no, no, no. We're gonna take care of everything for you. Everything will get done, and this is what we do. And found this place. But when I stepped inside, I just got really depressed. I looked around and everything was so nice and it was clean and they took care of the property, and I called her crying. I'm like, I'm not gonna be able to get this place, Cindy. It's too nice. She was sure that I was gonna get the place and I wasn't. But so I tried to lean on her hope, her faith. Cindy called me the next day and I wasn't sure, and I was just so nervous, like, is it finally gonna be true that me and my kids can start over again? And she said, I got some news for you. And I said, okay, what's that? And she said, you got the place. For the first time, I felt like I was finally being lifted up, that the help that I needed to get on my own 2 feet was finally in place. The transition was so smooth, and it was like, we're stable. We're stable. This is gonna be consistent. We can get comfortable. We can have peace. We can feel deserving again. I know that it has brought a sense of peace and well-being to my children. Just having that happiness again and seeing them smile and be happy and comfortable where they're at, to offer them that safety and security. I think those have been the most beneficial things for us.
Great. This video and all of our other videos are available on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Clackamas County. If you have any questions, I can try to answer them.
Martha, do you know anything about county government?
I think I've been here the longest. I probably know more than I want to some days.
Oh, but the reason I ask is Martha is the president of
Oh, the
AOC.
Association of Oregon Counties. Yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, in fact, not only in our county, but counties across our entire state are working on these issues. And there isn't a county that hasn't been affected by this one way or another, particularly with the housing issues that we're dealing with families. In fact, one of the bills that's moving forward is our bill from the county housing task force that will actually give help to every county in the state, local help, about what it will take to get the inventory of housing up to a level where they can help folks like you've just you've just helped make sure they're stabilized with their children, make sure they have decent housing, make sure that they really have the base to really be citizens that participate in self-governance, actually. So thank you for all that you do.
Thank you.
Great.
And thank you, Martha. Martha's also involved at the national level, which is NACO, and you attended the last conference, and did you go to NACO?
Sure did, yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
and then we usually go to the one in Washington DC where we visit the, try to bring those dollars back that you all pay in taxes to Clackamas County and to Oregon. It's as far as law enforcement, community corrections, courthouses, the AOC and you folks work really hard to make sure that Clackamas County gets
Get what we
back
need.
what it deserves and what it's paid in taxes to both state and federal government. So thank you for your efforts, Paul.
Yeah, it was, just a couple weeks ago, Jim and I were both in Washington DC, and we visited NACO offices and operations. And something, I'll just kind of put it in context, that the importance of counties. Cities don't cover the map of the United States. Counties do. Wherever you stand in any part of the United States, you're in a county. But there are many places in this country where a majority of the geography, frankly, is not within cities. So we have a tremendous responsibility and a role for all the people that live there and all the assets and that are there, all the environmental aspects, our forest, all of it. But I just want to say that we do quite a bit, and people always wonder, what do counties do? What do you do? And it's just a vast array of services we provide. And we just heard our 911 CCOM folks about what they do and how that engages with public safety. And so there's a lot, and it's always nice to go to the National Association of Counties in Washington D.C. and exchange our ideas and information and see how we can help provide better services around the country.
And the one thing you can say is if you've seen one county, you've seen one county, because counties are very different. Our Clackamas County compared to Multnomah County or Washington County or many of the counties in the state, very different. And in the country, some of these boards are 20, 25 people. Can you imagine trying to come up with a decision if there are 25 of us? Anyway, thank you very much for your presentation. And next up, we have citizen communication. We have Les Poole and Jason Ellerby. Hopefully I said that right, Jason. Good. I don't know who turned in their card first, but Les, go ahead.
I'll go ahead. Les Poole, live in Gladstone, as does this gentleman. I recognize him from the streets of our fair city. Someone pointed out to me that today is the anniversary of Paul Revere's ride. Kind of interesting thing to think about. And what was the big protest? Well, oppressive taxation. Who knows, he may ride again soon. A continuing theme, since it is budget season, this is the third week in a row that I'm going to mention that having evening meetings once a month would go a long ways towards providing access to government, access to the commission that the citizens need. And I appreciate Paul's endorsement of the thought, of the idea, the concept, in saying last week that one of the things that could be done to improve the outreach would be to have evening meetings. As someone that attends regularly, there's a recurring theme here. And the recurring theme in the county is that far too often the citizens don't know what's going on. We just see too much of that. It's a problem. And where is it the biggest problem? Well, in some of the notification or awareness of projects or big things that are happening in the neighborhood. And I think that the ordinances and the requirements for public notice on those could use some changes, some reforming. in terms of how that's done. That would take some work. I'm not expecting the county or any of you right now to jump up and defend anything or take some immediate action. But certainly, far too often, stakeholders or individuals that should be aware of what's happening nearby are caught off guard. And certainly, as Chair Bernard has mentioned before, we can't go door to door hanging a door hanger on people's houses, letting them know what's going on. But we can improve the notification and awareness in this county, and that builds credibility. The other thing I wanted to mention is that with transportation being our #1 concern, I'm pleased that the county is focusing on the Sunrise Corridor. There were comments last week about transportation and about connecting 172nd through Pleasant Valley so that it will develop in a way that can at least accommodate some of the traffic. I'm not going to talk any longer. I've got 8 seconds left, but I'll just conclude by saying that this transportation theme and how we address it is a growing concern, and one that I hope all the citizens become more aware of and more involved in. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you, Les.
My name is Jason Ellerby. I'm an Oak Grove resident. I have been a lifelong Clackamas County resident. I would like to talk about the vehicle registration fee that was passed about 6 weeks ago. I would more or less like just to make a suggestion that maybe this board can look into maybe as far as some kind of relief goes, like for people that are of lower income. I'm going to maybe suggest 250% of the poverty level or 300% of the poverty level, maybe some kind of amendment that those people can either be exempt from this fee on one vehicle or maybe pay a reduced rate. That is my testimony.
Actually, I mentioned that myself. That is of concern to me too. So I don't know if we're looking into that, but we will. That's kind of a DMV kind of thing, and I don't know if they make those kind of considerations. I want to talk a little bit about the VRF because, we're looking at a transportation package in in 20 that Metro's looking at. And one of my big concerns is that I think property taxes are overburdened. And, in some way, we're creating our own homelessness by continuing to put the burden on property taxes. One thing I said to the president of Metro at the time is, first thing, I'd support a transportation package that did the Sunrise, for example, or C to C, which is connecting Clackamas County to the Columbia River. The other is we cannot burden property taxes anymore because it is pushing things. So, we're trying to figure out a way to do it with the least impact, and that is fair and balanced. So if we haven't looked at that, I will ask that we do. Since we've got a little delay in when it would be enacted, or should somebody decide to, or enough signatures be collected, then we would have more time to look at that. But we'll look at it. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, we are going to move on to public hearings. And Gary, what's up first?
Yes, the first public hearing is a board order accepting a transfer of jurisdiction from Clackamas County to the city of Estacada of a portion of Darrow Road, County Road number 799. Mike Bays from the Department of Transportation and Development will present.
Good morning, Commissioners. My name is Michael Bays. I represent the county's Department of Transportation and Development. Today we have before you a request to approve a board order for the transfer of jurisdiction of a portion of Darrow Road from Clackamas County to the city of Estacada. This request has been discussed by the staff of both jurisdictions. Clackamas County and the city of Estacada have agreed to the transfer of a portion of Darrow Road to the city with the intent of streamlining roadway improvements eliminating confusion to the public, and to improve the efficiencies of maintenance and public service. The portion of Darrell Road to be transferred is located entirely within the Estacada city limits. This board and the City of Estacada have approved an IGA relating to this transfer, and for Clackamas County to provide the City of Estacada funds in the amount of $17,600, which is the equivalent of a 2-inch asphalt overlay. The portion of Darrell Road to be transferred is approximately 540 feet long and contains approximately 21,600 square feet of right-of-way. A notice for today's action was published for 4 consecutive weeks in the Estacada News newspaper. This request is consistent with the county's practice and policy of partnering with local jurisdictions to provide necessary government services at the least cost for our citizens. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond.
Any questions? Actually, this is one of the VRF, one of the reasons we did do, consider the VRF is that, which is the transfer of roads that Clackamas County owns within cities. And this would accommodate that or help that happen more. And then cities, we were required to give them a certain amount of money to put 2 inches of overlay on it. And this accomplishes that. So with that, I'll open the public hearing, asking if anyone would like to testify on this matter. Seeing none, I'll close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
I move we approve the board order accepting a transfer of jurisdiction from Clackamas County to the City of Estacada, a portion of Darrell Road, County Road number 799.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve board order accepting a transfer of jurisdiction from Clackamas County to the City of Estacada of a portion of Darrell Road, County Road number 799. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. Thank you very much. The next item is the consent agenda. And I'll ask the clerk to read the consent agenda by title.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On today's consent agenda, under Health, Housing, and Human Services, we have approval of Amendment Number 4 to the Intergovernmental Subrecipient Agreement with Canby Adult Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents, and approval of Amendment Number 4 to the Intergovernmental Subrecipient Agreement with the Foothills Community Church Malala Adult Community Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents. Approval of Amendment Number 3 to the Intergovernmental Subrecipient Agreement with the City of Gladstone Senior Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents. Approval of Amendment 1 to the Agency Services Agreement with Hillside Christian Fellowship for Warman Center Services. Approval of Amendment Number 4 to the Intergovernmental Subrecipient Agreement with the City of Oregon City Pioneer Community Center to provide social services for Clackamas County residents. Under our Department of Transportation Development, approval to apply for a Metro 2040 Planning and Development Grant. Under elected officials, approval of previous business meeting minutes. And finally, under the Department of Human Resources, approval of a labor contract between Clackamas County and the ASME West Environment Services Department. And that concludes the consent agenda.
Does any commissioner wish to remove an item for discussion? Seeing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Moved and seconded that we approve the consent agenda. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Abstaining? Motion carries unanimously. The next item is County Administrator update.
Yes, commissioners, would you like to hear some good news?
Oh, yeah.
What's that?
Would you like to hear some good news?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. So Clackamas County is engaging the youth of Clackamas County to understand what county government is and does, and to help younger people get involved with their county government. And we started the first of 3 youth workshops, of which the first was on April 6th. These workshops are designed to give youth an opportunity to understand how county government works and to better engage and serve our youth. The information shared with these young people and relationships built at these interactive sessions will help young people understand what the county does, and also help develop our youth involvement program here at the county. Our staff reached out to youth from all the various high schools and schools within Clackamas County and the school districts, and did extensive outreach on social media, built relationships with National Honor Society groups, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, leadership and government classes, 4-H, athletic clubs, homeschool groups, and existing community groups where youth are engaged. The next session will be on May 4th, and a final session on June 1st, which you've all been invited to, and I think many, if not most of you, will be attending. And then we'll see about the future of youth engagement opportunities at Clackamas County. But we're doing something to engage our young people, and we'll keep you posted on our progress. Secondly, Commissioners, tonight, as you know, is the start of the 2019 ClackCo Academy, formerly called the Citizen Academy. I believe this is our 5th year of doing this academy here at Clackamas County. It's an opportunity for members of the county to understand how county government works. It's a 6-month session where there's one meeting a month for 6 months, where various county departments explain and share what county government does. Tonight's session will be an introduction to county government and the county commissioners, where you'll have an opportunity to engage with our class, of which there are 25 community members in this year's ClackCo Academy. So we're thankful for our residents who are interested in this, and thank you, commissioners, for attending tonight, and we'll have a great showing, I know, and then ultimately we hope that these people will become involved in county government by serving on one of our many advisory boards or commissions, and perhaps run for office someday. That's my report. Thank you, commissioners.
Great, thank you. Did you announce that grant that we got last time?
I talked about several grants last time.
Yeah,
The
there was
Drive to Zero grant was last week.
111,000 for, I probably shouldn't have brought it up if I didn't remember it. Okay, well, with that, we'll move on to Commissioner Savas.
Yeah, well, last week I had to leave the meeting a little bit early to attend a noon meeting. And I wanted, as I mentioned then, I wanted to talk a little bit about the budget, and we got that budget update a little bit Tuesday. But more importantly, the impacts of what we're facing with our budget are pretty significant. And as I've been trying to raise for a long time, much longer than a year, but especially last year, that the forecasts were perhaps inaccurate. I really didn't know what the exact number was, and my request was actually getting a better, more accurate budget forecast so we could do our budget that we're operating under today, which we did a year ago. Had concerns that we were really not prepared, and through the budget process then and the budget processes in the past, I've had significant concerns. Unfortunately for our new administrator, he's now inherited some challenges, and we have as well some significant challenges when it comes to budget. And that's really the backdrop. I want to just touch on a few things for an example, and I know that I raised this with passion at the last budget meeting a year ago, and that was that when I and some of us on the budget committee were trying to find resources within our budget, that it was on behalf of providing services to the very people that need them the most, which is really one of our key responsibilities. A little bit disheartening, honestly, when I try to raise, at least from the public involvement standpoint, because we need our public. We need to have our public trust in what we do, whether we go out to the voters for a courthouse or whether we go out for the voters for something in the future, whether that's locally or regionally, that we've got really the trust of that. And to have some of my comments rebutted last week after I left was a little bit unfortunate, but you know what, we need to have, instead of having a double standard, my point was we need to raise the bar on public involvement and make sure we're doing our very best and our most sincere effort to hear from our public and give our public an opportunity to speak. So just this Tuesday, when we were having our budget update, I raised the issue about some of the programs that we were talking about, and I wanted to make a point that we need to do something virtually immediately, and to really not cut services to the folks who need them the most. And you know, we had a plea or discussed, you know, an appropriation for a children's camp type of thing, which, you know, we even heard more about last night. Commissioner Fisher and I attended in San Diego here 3 weeks ago, an Alliance for Hope conference. It was really about victims of child abuse and domestic violence and efforts to get behind that. And come this Tuesday, we kind of met half the need. I'm hoping that perhaps we can meet the full need somehow, some way, as well as focusing on the needs for our Children's Center, which really deals with victims of child abuse, all which came home, pretty significantly in the last couple of weeks, realizing that we may not have the resources really to address those. I think it's pretty significant that when we are going forward on a couple programs that maybe we ought to reconsider, that we can somehow find ways to fund some of these programs. At the same token is that I also said on Tuesday, and we touched on a number of things. Obviously, the county does a lot. There are separate budgets for a lot of things, but I don't really want to see any of our law enforcement, our sworn officers, laid off or furloughed or anything else. I think it's important that our public safety system be intact. I do know that in discussions with the sheriff on Tuesday morning, with the sheriff's office yesterday, with the sheriff's office last evening, members of the sheriff's office, that we're trying to find a way to meet some of those needs. I wish that we could work more as a team, the 5 of us. There's 4 of us here today, but the 5 of us. And that when one of us raises an issue or a concern, that we actually consider and value or understand what that really meant or what that really means. And from time to time, I think that when we raise those issues, they sometimes just go really unaddressed. And at this point, that's got a significant consequence when that really should have taken place well over a year ago, or at least a year ago. So it's with somewhat remorse, if you will, and some humility that we are facing the problems that we're facing. And I'm really hoping that we can find a way to allocate some resources, but at the same time knowing that we're very challenged with that. So we have to really roll up our sleeves, and I was scheduled, Jim and I were actually both scheduled to go to Washington, D.C. At the end of this month for our Joint Policy Advisory Committee Transportation annual trip. And when I learned that the budget meeting was on the same day, I said, I'm not going to go. The budget's more important. That was not just from the financial savings of not going, but more for the fact that the budget deserves our full attention. It is time to roll up our sleeves, folks, and it's time to work as a team. And I'm really hoping that some of the things that came out, what I shared with the chair this morning, that I learned last evening, that we need, again, I'm going to say it again, we need to work as a team. And we need to get through what we're faced with. It's dire, and we need to face it head on, because it's going to amount to a considerable amount of money, and I don't think that we can afford to lose the services or the service levels that we've got. So we're going to have to be creative, and we're going to have to listen intently to one another and the members of our budget committee as well, and our staff as well, to get through all of this. So I'll stop there and say that it appears that the budget meeting was canceled. Is that correct?
Yes, it was.
For May 1st. I will be going to Washington, D.C. Jim will be staying back, I guess, unless Jim wants to take my place.
I was never scheduled, so.
Okay,
but
okay.
anyway.
But and we'll make our pitch with the region for some resources for I-205 and hopefully be able to leverage a federal grant for $150 million. So that'll be the main reason I'm going. That's what I have for today.
So Martha.
Yeah, to that end, thank you for the budget. I just actually want to give a shout out to our budget committee. We actually really have one of the best budget committees in the region. These are citizens who volunteer their time. Most of them have actually all of them have a very in-depth knowledge of public budgeting. We have a CPA on the committee. We have folks that have worked in the government realm that have managed large budgets. And I always like the fact that it isn't just the commission that works on this issue, but I would really like to let the public know we always have external eyes of citizens who are helping us work through. And yeah, I think it'll be a challenging budget year, but I think we've done this before, and I have full faith in the fact that we'll manage it and do it again. couple of things I did want to mention with things that have gone on this week. I did have an opportunity to meet with Michelle Guillier, who is one of the folks that helps us lobby locally as well as in Washington, D.C., and we had a conversation about the Willamette Falls locks. We are still attempting to see how we can get that project moving forward, but we're about as close as we've ever come to what I call is unlocking the locks. And on actually Friday, I'll be testifying on behalf of House Bill 5030, which is going to, we hope, allocate some significant dollars to get the Willamette Falls locks repaired and operational. That project, together with the Willamette Falls Legacy Project, which is on the other side of the river, you got the Westland side, you've got the Oregon City side, we think are two catalytic opportunities, not just for Oregon City and Clackamas County, but actually for the entire state. It is a very significant historical importance. So stand by with that. I did attend with my colleagues last night the Community Appreciation Event for the Family Justice Center. I was very happy to see my dear friend Mike Wells honored. He has been on that board for many years, and to my surprise, they had photos of my farmhouse with Mike and other folks, Sue Bartz, who were on the board when we had actually been hosting fundraisers for them. So that was kind of nice to see. Congratulations, Mike. We're going to miss you. And I know that all of us are committed to actually working with the Family Justice Center in the future, because they work with women who have been victims of domestic violence and their children. So I'm hopeful that we can, again, even though we may have some budget issues we're dealing with, that not only the Family Justice Center, but the other nonprofits that we have continually supported through the years that help us fill our mission as a county, that we can really get all of us together and start working for a solution for our budget issues that we're going to be dealing with. Also, let's see, on Friday, I'll be introducing the keynote speaker for the Child Abuse Summit that Sheriff Roberts puts on every year. I know that my colleagues were there Tuesday. I did not go Tuesday morning because I'm going to be there Friday morning, and then I'll be heading down to Salem. Finally, let's go to our word of the week. Okay, rarefied. Adjective, lofty or exalted. Did you know that something that is rarefied is refined and of high caliber? Our finance team is rarefied in their abilities putting together next fiscal year's budget. Let's hope so. Thank you, Kevin, for that. Arts and cultures in the county. Okay, the 17th Annual Writers' Night, Unintended Consequences, presented by Estacada Area Arts Commission, Saturday, April 20th, 7:09 p.m. at the Springwater Grange, Springwater Road, Estacada. It's free and open to the public, and this will feature Joanna Rose and Steven Alred, memorist Brian M. Biggs of Redland, and Estacada writer Tanisha Wallace Porath. The Milwaukee Weekly Live Jazz and Dancing, Friday, April 19th, 12 to 1 at the Milwaukee Center. That's at Kellogg Creek Drive in Milwaukee, and it's free. Every Friday afternoon at the John Munger Memorial Jazz Band plays at the Milwaukee Center, allowing dancers of all ages and skill levels to take a spin around the dance floor to lively big band sounds. Also, a few other things about arts and culture. Lakewood is going to be closing its 2019 season, Lakewood Center for the Arts, for the great musical Singing in the Rain, and it's going to be opening up on April 26th. They've announced their 2020 season, 67th season for their theater events. We're going to be looking at Matilda, the Rocky Horror Show, okay, thank you, folks. Shakespeare in Love, Wait Until Dark, The Odd Couple, and Funny Girl. So it's going to be a great season for the arts. I think with those, I know Sonia will hopefully talk about what Kirk's been up to. Lastly, I'm reminding folks that Clackamas Volunteers in Medicine is having its luncheon this coming, I think it's this coming Friday or maybe next Friday. But in any case, the reason I want to mention them is because they really help augment our healthcare system here in the county. They provide free healthcare for folks who are walk-ins. It's a group of our local family docs who are retired, and who offer these services. And the county helps by providing them with the insurance they need to continue practicing medicine, to help out the poorest of the poor and the people that may not have access to medical care. So, okay, that's the news from Lake Wobegon from me.
One more thing.
Oh, the dog, okay. All right, so this is Sweetie.
Oh.
Yeah, she's cute. And Sweetie has one brown eye and one blue eye, just to let you know. I don't know if you can see that or not, but that's kind of indicative of a husky mix. And she may have some border collie. She's about 1.5 years old. She's very active and is looking for an active person too. Likes to be outside and would be a great partner for all kinds of Northwest adventures. That means lots of hikes. She really likes to get belly rubs. If she sounds like the kind of girl that would make a great addition to your active lifestyle, come and meet her today. So for more information about dogs, and about Sweetie and other adoptable dogs, please contact our dog services at 503-655-8628 or www.clackamas.us/dogs. Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Commissioner Fisher.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So in answer to Commissioner Schrader's about what Kirk is up to, so my husband has a theater company in downtown Portland that he is the artistic director of called Stumptown Stages, and they are opening Urinetown this Friday night. And Urinetown is not you're in town, it's Urinetown, and it's a very funny story, but it's very serious at the same time because it talks about a time when you have to pay to use the restroom. There isn't enough water. And so it's created a community crisis. And it is the story of that, which it's quite hilarious, but at the same time, it makes you think about where we are as a planet and with climate change and what the future may hold. So if you're ready for some enlightenment, I encourage folks to go check that out at stumptownstages.com. This week has been very full of issues regarding children, trauma, child abuse, vicarious trauma, which is a term that some folks may know about. The sheriff has his 20th Child Abuse Summit, which started on Tuesday. Commissioner Savas and I were there to kick that off on Tuesday. And last night, as folks mentioned, there was the Clackamas Women's Services honoring some very significant people in our community, Benchmade Knives, John Wentworth, our Chief Deputy District Attorney, honoring all the folks in his unit that deal with victims and domestic violence. Also, Amy Dowd, who works for Clackamas Women's Services, who has a very personal touch with everyone that she interacts with. And then, of course, Mike Wells, who's received the Lifetime Achievement Award that Commissioner Schrader mentioned. What I want to mention are a couple themes that came out of these two events. One of the themes from the Sheriff's Summit is, and Commissioner Savas touches on what you were talking about with the challenges of the budget, the power of one in collaboration with others. That is an incredible message. It's an incredible message when we think of our most vulnerable in our community, our children, our families, our seniors, people with disabilities. When Commissioner Savas talks about the challenges of the budget, he's right. It takes all of us in communication and collaboration with our community members, our citizen budget committee, the members, our residents in our community. It takes all of us looking at it, the situation, prioritizing, deciding what and where we want to invest our resources. The second theme that I want to mention, and this came out of the event last night in regard to Clackamas Women's Services. Many of you know about Camp Hope, which is based out of science regarding how important hope is in our lives. And a key researcher was there presenting last night who said, hope is the single best predictor of a person's ability to thrive. And I mentioned this when they talked about it last night. They talked about it in the singular, but I want to talk about it in the collective. And I'm responding specifically to Commissioner Savis's comments about being very concerned about the state of the county, which we all should be concerned every day about all of our government and jurisdictions and all of the services and all of the people that are served by them. But what I want to focus on is that we have an opportunity. We have an opportunity to look at things differently. We have an opportunity to really examine what it is that we need to be funding. And I am very thrilled that in the face of a challenge, we can conquer it. And in talking with our county administrator and talking with our finance staff, that is some of the best that I've ever encountered, I am looking forward to taking what works, performance Clackamas, looking at measures, looking at accountability, what are we providing as services, and building a budget from the base up. Some folks call it zero-based budgeting. There are different ways of looking at it. But we have a new day in Clackamas County. It will not happen this budget cycle. We're too far along the path. But for next budget cycle, for next year, and for years to come, we will be examining things differently. I think I'm safe to say that all of us that sit on this commission are fiscally conservative in how we manage the government's resources, and we want to do this right for the folks that need us and providing our safety net. So, hope, the single best predictor of a person's ability to thrive. Hope, our single best predictor of our ability to thrive. I think we can do it, I think we will do it, and I have confidence in the future of Clackamas County.
Thank you. I said we'd get out of here by 11, but you took all my time, so we're going to go a couple minutes over maybe. One thing, and Les mentioned getting information out to people, to get them involved. You know, over the years, the Budget Committee, we hardly have any citizens show up. And, you know, individuals from about 20 to 35 really get their information another way than I do. I mean, reading the paper, watching the news. They don't watch it anymore. They're on the internet. They're watching Netflix and stuff like that. I mean, I can't wake up without turning on the news. I spent all night reading the Mueller report. I'm just kidding. But the other thing is that, you know, I face the budget with a positive outlook. Gary tells us no one will lose their job. And there's no question to me that in the hard work the sheriff's made, our commitment to the mental health beds, we're going to fulfill that commitment. We're going to get there. And it's not that I'm wishing that or hoping it, but I have absolute confidence that we will reach that. The trick here is actually not that we're in the hole or in a lot of trouble. The trick is that we're not going to sit back. We're going to take action. And that's kind of what hope is.
Right.
If I say we're going to have a great budget year, that's a wish without a path. A path gets you to hope. So I think that was really important, you know. And by the way, when I attended a Clackamas Women's Services event, and the speaker was the speaker, I'm on hope, really impressed with everyone there. But first thing I did is, while the county may not be able to give them the extra $25,000, I myself went online and donated, and you can too. Look up Clackamas Women's Services. They have a button for donating to Camp Hope. Click that button and donate using your credit card. They also have another one where you can just directly donate to Clackamas Women's Services. Click that button and donate. So we take some responsibility So I took my personal responsibility and donated, and you can too. So do that. And I think we can do that. And also on Facebook, you know, a month or so ago, I raised about $800 for Clackamas Women's Services. You can do that on Facebook too by just doing a fundraiser for Clackamas Women's Services. They provide a great service. Anyway, finally, I just want to say we have a 10-member budget committee, 5 of us, 5 citizens. And we do consider everything everyone says. And we've been in worse positions, far worse positions during the downturn when the housing values were going down and our budget was going down. It continues to grow. And we just have to take that and make sure that what grows is invested properly in the services that we give. We're not like a city. We provide services that cities could never do. And that's why we're part of a large organization, AOC, Association of Oregon Counties, and NACO, a national association, because we do more. So I look to an exciting budget season, and thank you and have a great weekend. We're adjourned.